Joining us via Zoom is the founder of Hudson Pacific. His name is Frank Karkalas, or Karkalas as I know him. Frank, welcome to The Informer.
Thank you, George. Lovely to be here.
Before we start, I want to bring up to speed those that don't know what Hudson Pacific do and have done for a lifetime. You guys, I can remember you and Ken Schoolis got together, Ken Schoolis, of course, from AK Foods, about 30 odd years ago, and you thought, we can do some good work together. And you've done, and you did, some tremendous work. And then both of you sort of stepped away a little bit. And then I think January last year, you had an epiphany, and I think you decided, hey, we might be able to come back and do something a little bit different. And you know, that wonderful line, back to the future. Now, is that how it is, or have I sold you guys short? And for those that don't know, you guys are in the food business.
We're in the food business, and thank you. You're very complimentary. I've probably spent half my life in food, Ken probably even longer. He's a very passionate person. He's come out of the restaurant and cafe business, and into the food service business, whereas I had a slightly different pathway. I came straight into the food service business, but we hit it off many years ago as partners and friends. We've been pretty blessed. We've had a very, most would consider a successful journey through food and also in life, which is probably more important. And when we together sold the organisation, which Ken owned in 2016, we never envisaged coming back. We were very happy to the organisation that took it over. But as you said, you know, you can't control everything in life, and sometimes life goes around in a circle, and you come back to where it all started. So when Ken approached me late last year and said, look, Hudson seems to be struggling, and the organisation that had it probably had their strength probably lied in slightly different areas than in genuine food service. So it looked like they were going to close their doors, and Ken said, what do you think about taking Hudson back? Look, a lot of meetings and a certain thought process went into play. We didn't really want to come back from a commercial perspective, but we saw Hudson Pacific as a great platform to do other things. So, you know, Hudson Pacific Mark II is a slightly different model than the original. So there's a commercial aspect, but there's also a philanthropic aspect. And we came back in January, all guns blazing, to turn the business around and at least break even and record some sort of profit, so we can keep everyone in a job. And we achieved that in the first couple of months. But no one saw COVID coming. So as blessed as we've been in the past, and we've prided ourselves on our timing, we didn't see this.
Yeah, no one did.
It changed. It was a game changer, not just for us. Obviously, it wasn't just about Hudson Pacific. It's a global thing, a global pandemic, which is going to be a footnote in history in decades and centuries to come.
Now, Frank, you haven't stopped though there. You didn't allow that disruption to get to you, because both you and Ken, have always been extraordinarily visionary, and you've created not only a range of products. We're talking, what, more than 4,000 products in your pantry range. And you also have a lot of people working for you. So how did you get past the disruption and actually move Hudson Pacific higher and higher each and every month over the past year?
Well, look, interesting you say that, George. When we look at success now, maybe if you asked me what success was when I was 25, I would give you a different answer. But now success is a lot more than just money and profit. Obviously, the organisation needs to record a profit, otherwise you can't pay your bills. But we switched our mindset a little bit. When COVID hit, we didn't look internally. We looked a little bit further, and we thought about the community. We thought about the welfare of our people. We wanted to build a great organisation again, and you know, the most important thing in building an organisation is having people talk about culture, but I like to use a line that culture is to an organisation what personality is to a person. So it was very important that we looked at this pandemic as an opportunity to teach our staff that we're genuine about why we're here, and that It's not, we don't put money or commerciality ahead of, the welfare of our staff and the community at large.
And your customer, and your customer.
Obviously, our customers, I think we sent a fairly heartfelt email out to all our customers, pretty much pledging our support to them. I mean, our salespeople changed from being genuine, like hard and fast salespeople to becoming a bit more empathetic to our customers' plight and to engage with them at a similar level, to let them know that, we're also suffering with you. But at the same time, we needed to be economical. We needed to make money. So part of our plan when we came in was we didn't want to just be a food service business. We wanted to be a food company. And that meant probably becoming a bit more versatile and expanding into the retail sector, and also become stronger and create a bit of a footprint in Asia. Look, overseas generally, but more so in Asia. As I've always said, there's about 4 billion people lying to the north of us. It would be very remiss of us to not at least make a play into that market.
Yeah. Put a toe in the water, as they say. But
absolutely.
Now, you've done this for, as I said, we go back 30 plus years, but you actually started your own business, Hudson Pacific, in the backyard, I think in the garage of your parents back in Reservoir.
Yep, heady days. I was 20-something, George, and I had no food experience, and I started out of necessity.
But hang on, Frank, you also had no fear.
Yes. Yeah. Look, if you live in fear, you never live, do you? Really?
That's right. Yeah.
As they say. But I had no fear. I was a young man. I knew no boundaries. I hadn't been in the food business, so I'd come from a slightly different background. I came from more of a social background. I ran programs for the Salvation Army, and I worked as a youth worker in youth training centres and prisons and places like that. So I came from a fairly eclectic background, not your standard background for a person that gets into food. But I saw an opportunity, and I took it. I set up a cool room in my parents' backyard in Reservoir, and Hudson Pacific was born whilst I was on the way to the registry office. I thought, I can't call it Frank and Sylvia's. I can't call it Frank and Sylvia's food service business. They won't take me seriously. So I saw some cranes out there in the distance, and one of them was the Hudson Conway Tower, and another one was Podgornick. I thought Hudson Pacific, I'll add Pacific to it, and it sounds pretty good.
Bloody good, mate. As we wrap this up, this conversation, this opportunity to let people know that Hudson has gone through a transformation, and the two principals are back, and they've given it a huge lease of life. And you've also tweaked it. Its very core, as you touched on, is very different. That to me is very exciting because you've taken it back to the very beginnings. What are the things that you've learnt, and what is going to hold you in good stead going forward?
What I've learned is probably what I already knew, but it's only become reinforced.
Yeah.
And that is, you need to back your idea up with a good plan, and you need to look after your people. Bravo.
So what's next? Well,
what's next? We've got some pretty exciting plans. We've purchased a retail brand, an iconic Greek retail company that was probably the first in Australia of its kind, a company called Delta, which was based in Brunswick. Now, Mr. Anthony Berris, he's a fantastic person. He's a great operator, and we're blessed to be able to take on a business that he's left in very good health and continue the Delta journey as part of the Hudson Food Group. We're pretty excited. There's about 20 brands that are in what I call the continental Mediterranean supermarket space. So it's given us a great head start into launching a number of brands which we're looking at both producing in Australia and overseas.
So you're basically saying to me, look out for Delta.
Absolutely.
Frank Karkalas, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for giving us an update on what's happening at Hudson Pacific. I love it. And also introducing us to Delta. We wish you continued success. May the staff get more of that insight that you've had built into your DNA from very early on. By the way, are your parents still with you, Frank?
Absolutely. My dad, Nikolaos, and my mum, Athanasia, going strong.
Nas was this one, mate. All the very
Thank
best.
you, George.
Pleasure.
God bless. Thank
There
you.
you go. Frank Karkalas, or Frank Karkalas, part of the team that is Hudson Pacific. And as you've heard, brand new product. Look out for it on the shelves. It's called Delta. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, George.